Alright, I think we're live. Welcome YouTube. My name is Kane. This is the first video I'm going to be doing on YouTube, Path of Exile. I'm going to be showing you a Whispering Ice build that I liked quite a bit before I died. Just so you can see, I am not in hardcore currently. I did die. I died to True Reflect on Adziri. I've only done Adziri one time, and that was the time right there that I died. I will be trying it again, just to test this build out some more. To get into the build a little bit, first I want to say that this is my first video on YouTube, so if you have any suggestions or feedback, please let me know. I'm not sure exactly about the audio volumes and whatnot, so I'll try my best to keep this short and sweet. So the way this build works is we're going to be using a unique called Whispering Ice, which is this staff right here. It gives you level 1 Ice Storm skill, and it also gives you a bunch of damage based on how much intelligence you have and increases your intelligence by quite a bit. This staff is extremely cheap to buy. Pretty much no one uses this build, and that's kind of the thought process behind doing it. You do not have to have the staff linked whatsoever except for 2 gems, because of the way that it works. Since it's already granting that skill, as long as it's 6 socketed and you put the gems in there, you get them automatically linked for you. The gems I'll be using is Cold to Fire with Avatar of Fire on the skill tree to make it a full conversion. Conk Effect, which can be swapped out for Spell Cascade while you're mapping. I use Conk Effect on particular bosses like Adziri, for example, where I don't want as much range and more damage. Elemental Focus. The burn damage isn't really necessary on the build, so that's why we use this as a huge damage boost, and we don't really care about that. You could also do a cold version of this build where you might want to take this out and replace it with something else. Oh, I'm about to sneeze, sorry. Sorry about that. The only thing that you actually do need linked is Cast while channeling support and Scorching Ray. This allows your Scorching Ray to make it so that it actually casts the Ice Storm skill itself, and also Scorching Ray lowers their fire resist over time, which is why we're converting everything to fire. And then lastly, Fire Pen, so for a huge fire resist penetration. We're going to use all uniques in this build because of these 2 rings right here, which are the same exact thing. The Signet gives you 2% increased intelligence per unique item that you have. I'm sitting at 1700 intelligence. Every 5 intelligence is plus 1% energy shield, so it's quite a bit. I'm sitting at 9500 at level 88. If I take off one of these rings, I drop almost 1000, and I drop about 200 intelligence. This is going to infinitely scale as my levels go up and I get more intelligence as well, so it's extremely useful. I also get a ton of mana from them, which, because I am a guardian, also converts into more energy shield, which is why we want to use all uniques. So we have 2 of those. They can be moderately expensive. I would say this character is probably not for beginners. It's not necessarily a beginner friendly build. We're going to use the Vertex, helmet. And the reason why we use this is because it's on the cheaper side. It gives us a little bit chaos resist, and it has pretty high energy shield, 260 energy shield. We also use it because of the +1 socketed gems, which we are going to be using Stone Golem, Vitality, Discipline, and Purity of Elements. I'll get into why we're using those over different choices, because you can also use a Grace and a level 3 Enlighten to make it a level 4 Enlighten. Estramentus, I believe it's pronounced, is best in slot amulet for sure. Gives us a ton of attributes, and it's going to allow us to do anything we want with our skill gems. As you can see, I also have 227 strength, 219 dexterity, so that's fantastic as well. Chevron's wrapping. This is how the build pretty much works. It allows us to go low life. Uh, this is currently probably the most expensive thing you're going to buy for this build that you absolutely have to have. The rest of it, um, expensive stuff is just luxury. It's not necessary. I have the link to Flame Dash, Flammability, Arcane Surge, and Increased Duration. It's important to keep your Arcane Surge at a lower level so that it actually works every single time. Right there, as you Flame Dash or as you cast
My
this,
mana is spent.
pretty much every single time. Um, you ideally want it six socketed, so that you could put like your Stone Golem down there or something. I have a level 1 Clarity in here as well, just for the extra Aurora buff. I'm using Shaper Touch gloves. These are actually pretty cheap, even though they come from Shaper. And these are fantastic for us. Plus 2% energy shield per 10 strength. We have 227 strength. 2% evasion per 10 intelligence. And then the melee damage is not important. You also get 2 mana per 4 strength, which again is very useful. Ignore the enchantment on there. Sorry. So, the reason why these are so nice is because of the evasion rating. I'm at 8,000 evasion and I'm wearing next to no evasion gear. I think that's the only piece. So, as you can see, it doesn't, it helps out quite a bit. If I were to say take away purity of, can't take away purity of fire. Oops. Um, if you were to put Grace in there, you're going to be sitting at close to, let's see, you're going to be sitting at close to like 27,000 evasion. And if you popped a Jade Flash, you'd be sitting at like 45,000 plus evasion, which is very good. Um, Early on, you get hit very, very little bit, which allows your energy shield to recharge. So that's why these are really good. And they're just linked to a basic cast and damage setup. Cast and damage, Immortal Call, Purity of Fire, and Decoy Totem. Decoy Totem I would put in here. I'd put Increased Duration down here for this, and I'd probably level these up all the way because you have such a high pool that getting hit really hard, leveling them up would be better. So obviously it only needs to be 3 linked, but I just want to have 4 linked. Same thing up here. This doesn't actually need to be linked unless you do the Grace setup, which I'll show later. And then this one does need to be linked. It's Purity of Ice, Val Discipline, Purity of Lightning, Blood Magic. Val Discipline doesn't need to be linked to that technically, but it just is. Syntrek boots, extremely cheap. They give us dex, they give us intelligence. I actually think you want lower dex on these. It's not super important, but I can show you why later. And these just basically give us energy shield and movement speed. And then last but not least, Cyclopan Coil, I believe it's pronounced. I'm terrible at pronouncing stuff. The reason why this is so amazing is because it gives us 14 increased attributes percent to all of them. And it gives us a couple of other advantages. You cannot be frozen if your dex is higher than your intelligence. Obviously, that's not going to happen. You cannot be ignited if your strength is higher than your dex, which it is, so we can't be ignited, and we cannot be shocked because our intelligence is higher than our strength. Plus, we also get a little bit of extra damage boost. Not much, but the reason why that's so important is because we cannot be ignited or shocked now, as long as we keep our strength above our dex. I also have this ring here. This is an anti-reflect ring. I'm going to try putting this on and also using the anti-reflect when I can find it, which is right here. I'm going to try using this soul plus this ring on Aziri and see if I still instantly kill myself. I'm sure I will, but I just want to try it out for testing purposes. Because that's the only way you're really going to die in this build is making a huge mistake or hitting a true reflect mob, which is why I died. I kind of knew that was coming. but I wanted to try it anyways. It's here for the first time. So let's get into the passive tree real quick. So you're going to be a guardian. I suggest you start out with Radiant Fate into Unwavering Faith, into Time of Need, and then last but not least, Bastion of Hope. This gives you armor increased on the amount of life that you reserve, and energy shield based on the amount of mana you reserve. We get a ton of mana, and we reserve a bunch of life, so both of them work really, really well for this build. This gives you some extra resistances per aurora. You have a ton of auroras, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 auroras. Plus, I'm not sure if the other ones count. Time of Need just gives you a huge damage, or a huge energy shield regeneration every 5 seconds, and removes curse and stuff like that, so that's really nice. And this makes you block capped. If we can find the block. I must be blind. There it is, chance to block 75%. Plus you add in roomies. Now the reason why that's nice is because every time that you block, you cannot be stunned if you have blocked recently. So that kind of fixes the block issue once you hit this, and it does really help quite a bit. You don't get stunned nearly as much as you would expect to. The pathing may look a little weird, but it's because we're trying to hit mostly intelligent nodes along the way. We're gonna put brute strength jewel over here, which converts all the strength into intelligence. Gives us 20 intelligence there, some intelligence here, and the whole point is to get as much intelligence as another 20 node there. You're going to want to get Zealot's Oath so that your regeneration goes to your energy shield. This is also very important. As you can see, it goes up really, really high. When you use Consecrated Ground, it goes up really high as well, into the thousands, then to like 4,000. And it can get even higher than that. Obviously, you're going to want other Aurora nodes so that you can run this. Avatar of Fire so that you're completely fire based, as I mentioned before. Elemental Overload. You don't have a lot of crit multi, like crit multi is not really that important in this, so this just gives you a huge boost and you will get it up quite often. These help fix your resist, and since you're fire and it's initially a cold spell, you actually get the bonus from both of these, fire and cold damage, as well as right here. You get both fire and cold damage, which is a huge boost, another reason why you go this. Up here I put pure talent. This says that when you're connected to a specific part of the tree that you get that bonus. So for example, Templar gives you penetrates damage 5% of elemental resist, so it's an extra 5% there. And then Scion gives you 25% to all, which is super useful because we are connected to Scion. Sorry, just got a message. Uh, Next, I got a Watcher's Eye. Now, this is not mandatory whatsoever. This, however, is a huge quality of life. I'm assuming these will be pretty expensive, so I'm not saying that you need this. The second stat on there, 11% chance to recover mana while affected by clarity, is not super useful, but it actually does help this build a little bit. We really are concerned about the vitality, damage percent leech by vitality. There's also one with a version for anger as well, where you leech percent fire damage as long as you have anger. So if you can get either of those, you'll have a huge quality of life improvement, which is why we're using vitality up here. If we did not have this, we would socket this with green and green 2, I believe, for Enlighten, and we'd run level 3 Enlighten, which the helmet would make it level 4, and we'd put Grace in there instead. Or you would run Anger if you had the Anger version of this, so that you could leech as well. Over here, you're going to get Pain Atonement. You are low life, obviously, so you're going to want to grab that. I also grabbed this node here because you kind of need to be able to see. It's pretty difficult to see without that. Up here, more Aurora nodes. Down here, another Jewel node. Now this jewel is nearly perfect. We can ignore the cast speed with fire skills, it's not super important, but the reason why this is such a good node is because 7% increased maximum energy shield. You either want that or you want flat energy shield with the new jewels that have come out. And this has double intelligence rolls, so we're actually getting 18 intelligence from this, which is huge. Now, the only way this could be better is if that instead of dex, it was strength or it was more intelligence, um, because it's putting my dex too close to my strength. As you can see here, I'm getting pretty close. This node here is the next node that I wanted to put in, but if I put that in, this will put my dex above my strength, and then this belt won't be giving me ignite immunity anymore, so I've been holding off on this until I can replace this jewel. Here's another extremely good jewel, and this is more along the lines of what I was talking about, except if this jewel here was once again strength instead, this would be pretty much a perfect jewel. Next, we work down, get all the rest of the Aurora nodes, connect into here so that our pure talent jewel works. If you don't have pure talent, you don't have to connect into here yet. And we're going to do fertile mind here in here. All of these nodes now. This one's actually 20 because it's being overlapped, but 10, 20, these are all 10s, 10, this is also 10. And then we finish off down here, the extra mana, the extra strength, the extra int is all very helpful. And the rest of the Aurora nodes. You don't want to switch in this build until about level 70 when you have your pathing path out to all of the Aurora nodes, to the beginning of them, so that when you take out your life nodes here and the ones here and your life nodes that are all over here and stuff, when you take them all out, the ones up here as well, that you can put all of your Aurora nodes in at the exact same time, so that way you can go straight into low life. Now the reason why it's so important that you are low life is because with all the uniques, you can see that my resistances are just barely capped over, and that's because I'm running all the purities. So you have to run all the purities to be able to do this. If you want to run an elemental weakness map, you just kind of bring an immune to curse. I haven't had any issues whatsoever with this build on any maps, all the way up to tier 13. And then I decided to do it Zerion, that's when I died, but I'm pretty certain that this can do the Guardian, and I'm almost 100% confident it can do Shaper. Your damage potential for scaling on this build should reach, I think it's currently 5,000 with only Conk Effect on. Oh, I'm sorry, it's actually higher than that. It's 8,000 with Conk Effect only on. I don't have full quality on my gems. They're not level 20 yet as well either. As you can see, oops, right here, they're only level 19. The staff actually gives you +1, so these will all be 21, and none of them are quality at all, except for that. It's a little bit of quality. So the potential for this should be 30,000 per or higher, and you should be able to just fly through bosses really easily. That should pretty much cover the tree. You should be able to reach this by level 88 to 90. Those last 10 points are kind of up to you. You can go for more jewel nodes, which is what I would personally do. I think I would get this jewel node up here, and I would consider maybe coming down into here, connecting this way for the mana, getting this, maybe taking these 2 points out. Maybe, I'm not sure. You could also just add an energy shield, but remember that each point of intelligence gives you mana, energy shield, and damage. Jewel nodes, like I said, are extremely useful as well, so that would be one that I'd probably pick up there. That should cover pretty much everything. Like I said, as far as pricing goes, this was very expensive, and the Watcher's Eye was pretty expensive. Outside of that, everything else is relatively cheap because not a lot of people play this. For my flask, I'm using an Immune to Chill. I'm using the Determination flask because it gives you immunity to everything. This is like your Odo button. Harumi's for the extra block. Bleed flask, and immune to Curses flask, Quicksilver. And these can be switched up however you want them to be. I'm gonna go ahead and try this versus Itziri, I think. So I probably will die again. Regular reflect is not too much of an issue because you can just dodge it while they're being killed, so it's really not that bad. I don't expect to live here. Like I said, I am in standard. Will be literally my second time doing this, so I do plan on dying here.
Go with God.
Now, just so you know, the AoE of this is much larger than what you see normally, which I can show you right here. This is with Spell Cascade on, and it's not that bad for clearing maps. You simply don't have the same clear speed as the clear speed meta currently, because, you know, everybody's using shield charge and whatnot, so you don't have that advantage. But it's really not that big of an issue. As you can see, I can face tank a lot of damage, and I'm not getting stunned. I'm not taking too much damage. I have a huge health pool. This is convenient because I actually want that for Itziri, so I'll probably pop that on before Itziri. Once again, not familiar with these fights. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to pop one and then pop the other. For all those people out there that are like insanely good at Itziri or whatnot, please don't judge me yet. I will get there. And you can sit here and cast it. I only have 80 mana, but you can sit here and cast this infinitely because it doesn't cost any mana, because it's not linked to anything. See how fast he dies. That's it. It's that simple. The only trouble I had was on the reflect. If there wasn't a reflect mob on Itziri, then this build would absolutely destroy him. And as far as mapping goes, any boss that I've done that I thought would be hard or was hard on another character was literally a cakewalk for this character. So I'm pretty confident this character can do just about anything in the game. And although it's a little expensive, I think it's one of the ones that are a little bit better for new players if you can afford it and like understand how it works. And these guys, I don't actually understand fully what they do because they usually just die, so we'll see. I use a decoy totem here. And I just face take everything. Once again. I'm sure Itziri and whatnot, I would have to have a strategy against them. I'm sure I can't just do that, but as far as regular Itziri goes, maybe it's just that simple. Take large hits every once in a while, but it's not that important. I don't really care about that. I should want to go ahead and put on this instead of... Not sure what to take off, so I'm going to take off the roomies. I forgot to set up Flask a little bit better. I wanted 2 of these because I want to see if I can face tank the Flame Blast a little bit more consistently. I'm pretty sure I can. These real quick, and then should be up here somewhere. Alright, so here we go. Take out Spell Cascade. I'm gonna go ahead and try it normal.
Bow to your queen, mortal. Queen of one.
I forgot you can have the Golem up as well. As you can see, he dies so fast. The damage is more than enough for this phase as well. Like I said, you just gotta not hit the mirror, and I screwed up and hit the mirror, so.
I must have time to gather my will. Queen of one.
And there you go. It's really that simple. If you're not terrible at the game like I am and hit the mirror on your first try like an idiot instead of watching a video on YouTube, then that would have never happened. This character would still be alive. But that's pretty much it. That's the build. Let me know if there's any questions that you have and down in the comments or anything that I missed. Thanks, guys.